Would you believe me if I said a world with only lava is actually super easy to beat? Well, then I'd be lying. That's because this challenge is nearly impossible. Only a few people have ever attempted it, and all of them cheated by using villages. So without using any structures at all, I'm gonna beat Minecraft while every block is lava. The first step is simple, but extremely hard. Do not die on spawn. So I created a new world with just lava and began loading in. Oh no. Yeah, this is gonna be harder than I thought. Dude, that was like 3 seconds. How am I even gonna do anything? As you can see, we only have about 3 seconds before we die to the lava. And obviously, there's really nothing we could do with this very short amount of time. And if I don't find a way to escape this lava, the challenge will literally be over. And right as I was about to give up, I got an idea. You see, whenever you leave a Minecraft world and then join back, you'll be given a grace period in which you will not take a single bit of damage. And by using this glitch, we'd be able to basically survive forever in this lava. Just leave the world every time I'm about to take damage. But then I came to another horrifying realization. Alright, I finally don't die in this lava. But what now? Now that we're able to survive in the lava, what else are we supposed to do? It's not like we have anywhere to stand or even a tree to mine. And just like that, right as I began to feel hopeful this challenge might be possible, any motivation I had was now completely shattered. I don't think I could really do anything else. Wait a second! All we have in this world is lava, but maybe we could use that to our advantage. You see, while looking around trying to think of what I could do, I got a pretty wild idea. There's not many mobs that can spawn in lava, and the only ones that can all live in the Nether. But what if we can somehow trick the game into thinking the overworld is the Nether? Then technically, the Nether mobs should be able to spawn. And after killing those mobs, it would give us access to a very limited variety of items. And I mean, it's pretty out there, and I really don't know if this will actually work. But there's really nothing else we could try. And if this doesn't work, this is it. All our efforts, gone. Wait. Even if that idea does work, how are we even going to trick the game into thinking that the overworld is actually the Nether? So I went to Google to begin researching, and at first, I couldn't really find anything. I looked for YouTube videos, Reddit posts, everything. That was until I finally found it. A Minecraft forum post from over 10 years ago asking the same question I am today. How do you transfer the Nether into the overworld? And no one really seemed to know. That was except for one singular comment. Take the world you want to put into the Nether, copy its region folder, put that regions folder in the world file of the world you want to use, and once the new region folder is in it, rename it to dim-1. This will make the real world in the Nether. This was it. This challenge might actually be possible now. But then I read a little further into the post, and that's when my heart sank. I have not tested that since version 1.7.3. If you didn't know, 1.7.3 is a Minecraft version which is way over 10 years old now. So if this glitch that lets us transfer the Nether into the overworld doesn't work anymore, then this whole video is over. There wouldn't even be a chance of beating the game. So hoping this glitch would still work, I exited out of the game, transferred the Nether files into the overworld, and then loaded up my world once again. And what I saw amazed me. Alright, let's see. Oh my gosh, it actually worked! It says we're in the Nether! Oh my gosh. But don't get too excited. Even though technically the game thinks this is the Nether, if the Nether mobs still don't spawn here, then doing this is basically useless. We need those Nether mobs. You see, the only mobs that can spawn in the lava are ghast, magma cubes, and most importantly, the Strider. You see, the Strider will always drop string upon being killed. And with just 4 of those strings, we would be able to craft a wool block, which then we could place down and finally get a place to stand on top of. But if the Strider doesn't spawn, then I won't have any other way of getting string. And yeah, game over. So in the world, I waited and waited and waited for what seemed like forever. So nothing's spawning at all. No Striders, no magma, no anything. So I think this challenge is over. Which kinda sucks, but yeah, I guess that's it. I'll give it like 5 more minutes and I'm gonna call it quits. No way! A Strider actually just spawned. Oh my, and there's more. Oh my gosh. This actually works. It worked. So still excited that the Strider somehow spawned, I went up to one to try killing it for string. And after chasing it around for a bit, I finally killed it. But the string just burned. So I went on to try killing another one, and still, the string just burned. Maybe I was just getting unlucky. Third try's the charm, right? So once again, I tried killing one, and the string still burned. This can't be. Why does it keep burning? This couldn't be right. I couldn't pick up the string in time before it burned in the lava. So I went into a new world to begin testing if it was actually possible or not, and after many tries, I found that the string burned every single time. But while playing around in the test world, trying to find a way to somehow get the string, I accidentally spawned in this strider, and that's when it hit me. You see, the reason why the string kept burning each time I killed the strider was because of just how close the strider actually was to the lava. The string had nowhere else to go except right into the lava. But seeing this strider made me realize that since the baby strider isn't sitting right on top of the lava, then when I kill it, the string should have more time for me to actually pick it up instead of instantly being burnt. So in my world, I looked for a strider that had another baby strider on top of it, and after finding one, I tried killing it, and nothing dropped. So I found another one and tried killing it, and nothing dropped again. And this was weird. Striders are always supposed to drop string upon death. But that's when I realized my crucial mistake. Baby mobs can't actually drop anything. So yeah, this was a pretty bad oversight on my part. But then I realized that all I would have to do to overcome this was simply just wait 20 minutes or so for the baby strider to grow up. Then as an adult strider, they would be able to drop the string. So I found a stacked strider and followed it around waiting for it to grow up, and after just half an hour, it finally grew. So I went on to kill it, and it worked. I finally have string. And after hours of hard work, I can also finally craft one wool block. And I only have to do this about 200 more times. Oh my gosh, this is gonna take forever. Initially, my plan was to kill this pigman for the rotten flesh so I could eat it for food. But instead of dropping the food, it dropped the warped fungus stick it was holding. And that actually gave me a good idea. I could just ride the strider around to stay out of the lava instead of having to constantly leave and rejoin the game to not take damage. And using the stick the pigman dropped, I would be able to control exactly where the strider goes. This one simple change would allow me to collect string at a much more faster rate. So with my new plan in place and my head on my shoulders, I continued on my journey collecting string. So it's been like an hour and I only have 28 blocks. So yeah, I actually gotta lock in. I don't even know how long it's been anymore, but I finally have enough blocks. And you'll find out later on in this video why I needed so many blocks. So right now I'm gonna head towards spawn to start building a base. You see, the reason I'm going towards spawn to start building instead of just doing it right here is because normally if I die, then I just respawn right back in the lava. But since I'm building my base at spawn, if I die, then I'd have a place to actually respawn on top of, so instead of just spawning back in the lava, I'd spawn right on top of my platform, escaping the lava. And now with this small platform, we can finally start making some real progress. And weirdly, the first thing we must do is wait for a zombie to spawn. You see, a zombie has a very rare chance of spawning in holding a shovel, and this shovel would be a really crucial part in completing this challenge. So I waited for a zombie to spawn, and nothing. So thinking I just had to give it more time, I waited a little more. Dude, it's been forever and not a single mob has spawned. Not one. And look, I made sure I'm far away enough and... Oh! And this was the moment I realized that the game still thinks that this is technically the Nether, meaning that none of the overworld mobs, including the zombie, would have been able to spawn in, since they aren't Nether mobs. So we'll have to switch the world files back to normal first. And after fixing that, I joined back into the game. Now that we have all that sorted out, I'm just realizing that this might take a little while. So I'll cut back to when a zombie with a shovel finally spawns. Okay, that took way longer than I expected, but we finally have the zombie we need. And to make sure that he actually drops the shovel when I kill him, I'll make a backup of the world first. This way, if he doesn't end up dropping it first try, I'll just load in the backup and be able to keep killing him until he finally drops it. And he didn't drop it. Ugh. Ooh, okay, he actually dropped it this time. Now that we have the shovel, it's time to move on to the next part of the plan. The reason I needed the shovel was to get snow. You see, when it snows, I'd be able to get snowballs from it using my shovel, and with just 4 snowballs, I'd be able to craft a snow block. And if you didn't know, Arctic foxes have the ability to spawn on top of snow blocks. And this fox would be very important for later on in the challenge. But there is a slight problem. The biome we're currently in is a plains biome, so it's actually not possible for it to snow here. So before we get snow, we'd first have to find a cold biome. So I began bridging out looking for a cold biome, hoping I'd find it much sooner than later, and yeah, this is the reason I needed so many blocks. But thankfully, after just a few minutes of bridging, I somehow found it, a snowy taiga biome. Now that we're in this biome, we'll first have to build a new platform here to collect the snow, and I'll make it as big as possible to get as many snow blocks as I can. Now that we built this platform, I'll just have to wait for it to snow. This shouldn't take too long. Holy dude, that should not have taken that long. But now it's finally snowing. Now that it's snowing, I have to try and collect as many snowballs as I can for the snow blocks. But after just a couple of minutes of mining snow, my shovel broke. So just like before, I'll have to wait all of that time again just to get another one. So I sat AFK until another zombie with a shovel spawned, and after waiting for a while, it eventually did. So I backed up the world once again and began trying to kill the zombie for a shovel. And after just a bit, he eventually dropped it. So I began waiting for it to snow once more, and started mining again once it did. And I made a little more progress than last time before my shovel broke again. So I waited for a zombie carrying a shovel, made a backup, got the shovel, waited for it to snow, mined the snow, crafted snow blocks, expanded the platform, and kept repeating this process until I finally felt the platform was big enough to continue. The platform's at a pretty decent size right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and wait for an Arctic fox to spawn. You see, the reason we need an Arctic fox to continue any further is due to the fact that there's a very small chance that the fox can spawn with an emerald in its mouth. And this emerald would allow us to get so many new resources we don't currently have later on in the challenge. I'm just gonna camp out here and hopefully foxes start spawning in soon. But considering the foxes only have a rare 1% chance of carrying an emerald in its mouth, we might be here a while. So I waited for a little bit when I finally saw a fox spawn in. Ooh, I see something over there. Bro, it doesn't even have an emerald. So, sorry buddy, but you're useless. So I waited a little longer, and all that kept spawning was just foxes with nothing. No emerald in sight. That was until... I think this one actually has an emerald. Ooh, it does! Okay, this is actually really good. And I'm pretty sure all we have to do is just trade something for it. Alright, take this. Oh, we got it! Now that we have an emerald, we can finally get wood. You see, there's a mob called the Wandering Trader. It spawns in randomly and it offers you a wide variety of trades such as seeds, dirt, but most importantly, saplings. You see, we'd be able to trade the emerald we got for the sapling, and then once we plant it, we'll finally be able to get wood after hours of doing this challenge. But there's no way to really predict where or when a Wandering Trader will spawn. So I just waited and waited while looking around waiting for one to spawn, and nothing spawned. So I thought that it might be useful to continue on expanding the platform while waiting, so there's more places for the Wandering Trader to spawn on, thus increasing the chances of it spawning in sooner. And it wasn't until a full 4 hours later when one finally spawned. Holy dude, bro! I've been waiting forever, and it's finally here. Alright, let's see... Wait, what? Bro, are you serious? You see, the Wandering Trader's trades are always randomized, so it's never 100% guaranteed that they'll be offering any specific item, which is unfortunate for us because we've been waiting for hours by this point, and he didn't even have anything we needed, so this was a huge bummer. But with nothing else to do, I just continued on waiting, and it hadn't even been an hour when another one just so happened to spawn in. Oh wow, okay, it's been like 40 minutes, but another one just spawned in, and hopefully this time it actually has what we need. Ooh, yes! It actually has the sapling. Wait. Oh, bro, we don't even have enough emeralds. You see, while waiting for the Wandering Trader to spawn, I was completely blindsided to the fact that Wandering Traders don't sell their saplings for just 1 emerald. In fact, they actually sell their saplings for a whopping 5 emeralds. 500% more emeralds than what we already have. So devastated by my mistake, I had to leave the Wandering Trader for now and go back to wait for more Arctic foxes to gather more emeralds. And not to bore you with that tedious process, let's just say that took way longer than necessary. It's been a few days since I recorded the last clip, but I now have 4 emeralds, and I'm about to get my 5th from this fox. Bro, finally. Now that we actually have the right amount of emeralds this time, I went back to the Wandering Trader, and that's when I had a horrifying realization. The Wandering Trader despawned. All that time waiting for it to spawn, gone within a flash. Insanely demotivated at this point, I began considering even giving up the challenge and scrapping this whole video whatsoever. But I couldn't have made it this far just to quit now. So I waited for another one to spawn, and after a couple of hours, I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. Another one just spawned in! So let's go see if it actually has what we need. Ooh! No way! It actually has a sapling this time. Oh my gosh, I could finally buy it. And now... Oh wait. Throughout all of that, I still somehow managed to forget the dirt that I needed to grow the tree on. But good thing Wandering Traders sell dirt. Bro, not again. Alright, now that we actually have everything we need, we can finally grow the tree now. So I placed the dirt down, planted the sapling right on top of it, and waited for the tree to grow. We can finally get wood. I don't even want to think about how long this actually took to get. Now that we finally have wood, I think it's about time that we craft some tools. But then I got an idea. Currently, we only have access to wooden tools, but these just simply wouldn't cut it. They're good for now, but eventually we'll need something better. So that's when I thought of making a cobblestone generator. If you didn't know, a cobblestone generator requires lava, which we obviously have tons of, but we'll also need water, which, yeah, we don't have. But then I remembered that Wandering Traders actually sell buckets of fish, which, if we buy, we'd be able to just use the water from that. So very reluctantly, I went back to get more emeralds and waited for another Wandering Trader to spawn, and it wasn't long before one spawned in. And thankfully, he was selling a bucket of fish. Now that we have water, all we have to do is head down here. Oh, and before I do that, I should probably replant the tree before I forget. But anyways, I have to come down here and then... Oh, wait. I don't even remember how to make one of these things. So after quickly googling how to make a cobblestone generator, I began building it. But this is when I realized that any blocks I currently had would either just burn or melt due to being this close to lava. And this was also when I realized that my only other option was to kind of carve out a cobblestone generator out of the obsidian using nothing but my wooden tools. Alright, that took forever. But I finally made the cobblestone generator. So now all we have to do is just place the water here and... Ooh, okay, it actually works. And now that we have this cobblestone generator, we are finally able to make stone tools. And now that we have all the tools we need, there's really nothing else to do but finally go to the Nether for blaze rods. But before that, I better make sure to collect as much cobblestone as possible. You'll see why soon. And after that, building the Nether portal was probably the easiest part of this challenge. But now it's time to go through. Oh yeah, I also might have forgot to mention that the whole Nether is also literally just lava. So you may be wondering, how am I gonna get blaze rods? Well, you see, the only block that was left in this Nether is simply just one blaze spawner, which I'll have to find somewhere in here. And by the way, this is why I mined so much cobblestone before coming in, so I could bridge out to try finding the spawner. Oh, and I just realized this, I should probably craft these blocks into slabs so I could bridge out for way longer. And after crafting those slabs, I began bridging out in a random direction in hope of coming across a spawner. And after bridging about 1,000 blocks out, I finally noticed something in the far distance. I've bridged pretty far, but I think that actually might be the blaze spawner. So once I got close enough, I built a small platform under the blazes, praying I wouldn't get shut off in the process, and began collecting blaze rods. But thankfully, I was able to collect all the blaze rods I needed without getting killed in the process, so I headed towards the portal and went back into the overworld. Now that I'm back, my next step would be to collect ender pearls. Now there's a few ways for me to go about this, but I decided the best way for me to do this would be for me to camp out until night, then once it was finally dark, just wait for some endermen to spawn. Once an enderman eventually spawned, I realized I should probably craft a boat so that there wouldn't be any chance that the enderman could kill me. And after getting my first ender pearl, ooh yes! I just rinsed and repeated this process until I got enough to light the end portal. Oh yeah, and while I'm killing endermen, I'll also make sure to kill as many skeletons as I can, and like always, you'll see why pretty soon. And after just about 30 minutes, I had all the pearls that I would need. So using the blaze rods, I crafted them into ender eyes. And this is probably the point you're now wondering, how are we actually going to get into the end if the whole world is just lava? Well, you see, I made it so that the world would generate a single end portal thousands of blocks away from spawn, just to make this challenge actually possible. So I threw the first ender eye to see which direction I should head, collected tons of more blocks, and began bridging towards it. After bridging for about 20 minutes, I threw another eye just to make sure I was still heading the right direction, but it still pointed this way, so I continued on my journey. I've been bridging for like 45-ish minutes, and I think that I actually see the portal over there in the distance, but I'm just about to run out of blocks. So I went all the way back to my base, collected more cobblestone from the generator, crafted them into slabs, and made my way back towards the portal. And once I got back, I continued bridging until I finally reached the portal. And once I finally arrived, I carefully lit the portal, and after countless hours and tons of trial and error, I jumped in. Holy! Oh yeah, and just like the Nether, the whole entire end is also just lava. This is going to be insanely hard. The first thing I must do is bridge towards the middle, but I'll have to make sure that I'm extremely careful because at any point the dragon could shoot its fireball at me, and if I get hit off, I would basically have to restart the entire challenge. So I began bridging, and luckily the dragon didn't knock me off. But I'm not totally in the clear yet, so I'll have to keep a lookout just in case. But now that I'm at the middle, I have to shoot down the crystals. And before I entered the end, I made sure to kill as many skeletons as I could, so I had tons of arrows now. Alright, that was pretty easy. But now it's time for probably the hardest part of this challenge, actually killing the dragon. This will by no means be easy at all. I began hitting the dragon with my stone sword, but then I remember I still actually have some low blocks, so I crafted a couple beds to explode the dragon with. But I must be careful because I literally only have leather boots for protection. So that bed actually did some damage to the dragon, but now I think it's time for me to actually attack it. Oh my goodness. I don't even have any food left. I actually think I'm gonna fail. Please. Oh, it's coming down, it's coming down. No way! Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I actually just beat the game, while the whole world was just lava. And I think there's nothing else to say but subscribe.